Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. And this evening, we're going to get into a little bit more of the Democratic Party. And I'm going to talk about some social issues as well, especially this movie called Is God Is. Now, there are some YouTubers who are talking about, shout out to Machismo, and that's where you have Machismo TV, Mr. O with the info, Brother Tito, and Salty Balls. They also talked about this. T.S.on Johnson talked about it as well. And I'm also getting into the Democratic Party. Like I said, the Democratic Party earlier, because the Democratic Party is really trying to cheat their way into this election. Now they want to go back to the Supreme Court and ask the Supreme Court, which already denied the maps in Virginia, but the Supreme Court in Virginia, 4-3, ruled that their map is unconstitutional. So now they want to go to the federal Supreme Court, who already said that the maps in Louisiana, the maps in Alabama were also legitimate. But this movie Is God Is. Now, this gets back into the Black community. And in the Black community, we have a number of, I'm just going to say more of the urbanized American Black women who, in my humble opinion, don't like Black men. And it is true with the movies they have put out. Color Purple was one of them. Wait and Exhale is another one. And this was back in the 90s. And you had a number of African American women who were on all of these talk shows talking badly about Black men. I'm talking about your Sally Jesse Raphaels, your Montel Williams, your Oprah. Oprah was the queen of it. Your Ricky Lakes, your Jenny Joneses, your Rolanda Watts, your Queen Latifah had a show. Tempest Bledsoe also had a show. And there's another guy out there. He's real sweet. Carano is his name. Had some African American women on his show as well. And he panders to them. Now, with the African American woman, she doesn't want to be a companion. And I'm generally speaking now, it's not all of them, but it is a number of them. They don't want to be companions to the brothers, but they would rather be companions to the Brads out here. So these Keishas always have a lot to say badly about the brothers. Now, you look at Fatty, and I love Fatty's shows. I mean, I get some laughs. But there's this Black woman on there named Dumb Quisha. She's about in the 50s. And you got to go to Fatty's channel to actually see the debate. She thinks she can take any man. That's her problem. She has this divine feminine. She believes that a woman was not created from a man and that the Black woman is God. First of all, scientifically, humans come from Homo sapiens. Now, first of all this spiritualness, and this is where a number of Black women have their delusion. They really believe in this spiritualism. I don't believe in this spiritualism. Yes, do I believe in God? Spiritualism is nothing more than nuts and berries. Now, this woman, Dumquisha, she says she's a warrior. Well, if you break everything down that she says, she really wants feminism. She wants a matriarchy. But you cannot have a matriarchy without somebody to enforce it. And the way she's talking is she is a general of an all-female army. First of all, an all-female army would get conquered. A matriarchy would get conquered. particularly when you are trying to fight men. Men are too strong. I'm not saying smarter, but too strong. Men know how to get power. And you can have all the spiritualism that you want, but if you want power, it's not about your degrees. Because I know Quisha said, oh, the black women are getting degrees. Well, I was watching television the other day. Some information that Sweet Chocolate Tommy Jean brought up. And it had a lot of black people on that television, with these PPP loans. This is where a number of black women had their money. Now, there was a lot of fraud. Now, it's not just, believe it or not, I'm not going to beat down the black people about the PPP loans because a lot of the scandals go on with white folk as well. You look at the Enron scandals. So I'm not going to beat down the blacks, but we made it so obvious. That's the problem. Going out here, the types of businesses that we're getting are nonprofits trying to help people. But the problem with nonprofits is where's all the money going? Are you really helping folks? You look at Sally Struthers when she had Feed the Children. She was more or less feeding herself. I had a call one time from Feed the Children who I wanted to donate. And I said, where's the money go? They gladly hung up. But what I'm saying is this. This is God is moving. Okay. There's this woman. Again, she's telling her daughters to go kill their father over a fire. Well, I haven't seen the movie, but did the father set the fire on purpose? We don't know. But see, this movie right here is going to be another Color Purple, and a number of black women are going to see this movie and they're going to think they're going to go out and do the same thing to a number of black men. But here's the thing. A number of black men are fighting back, particularly these the late millennials and Gen Zers. Now, a number of your baby boomers and Gen Xers, they were simps. And your early millennials, they were simps when it came to women. But now a number of your millennials and Gen Zs, they're not simps. They're not going to help this modern woman. And if you look at it, you're going to have a number of Gen Z women, you're going to have a number of millennial women, and you're going to have a number of Gen Z women out here. Let me straighten this up again. A number of Gen X women, my generation, because that's really where everything came down, at least the baby boomer women, particularly the African American women. And I'm looking at more of the country ones. The country ones have done a good job. It's the ones from the city who claim they have all this education and these good jobs. Because watching Fatty, there was this black woman that said, well, I have a 200,000 or a 2,000 square foot house. Well, the question is, do you really own that house? Because if you are making mortgages on that house, you don't own that house. The bank owns the house. You miss one payment and see who's going to come and live in that house or take that house or resell that house. That house will foreclose in a heartbeat. But this is what you see when you have the dumb queishas up there thinking that no man is going to tell me what to do. Which, okay, this is at least Ebony K. Williams. I will give her credit. She went and had a baby, not by a man, but by the vitro. Now, is that baby going to have a father in his or her life? No. All going to see everything one way. But Ebony K. Williams did not want a man in her life telling her what to do, because this is what everything comes down to. When you see all of this, I am God, I am divine feminine. No, it comes from feminism, with a little bit of Christianity. And when you hear that, you run for the hills. And that's really what the bottom line of a number of these quiches are. And this is why I will not support them politically. And when Dumquisha was asked about Kamala Harris being black, Kamala Harris said that Kamala Harris, she went to Howard University. She tried to fit in with blacks, but was Indian. Yes, she's an AKA, but she's Indian. But then got on the trail and said, I'm not going to do anything for blacks. So looking at this movie, it's going to have some violence in there. It's going to have some revenge against the father. And the bottom line with this movie, there are going to be a number of black men who are going to watch this movie and believe everything they see. And they think they're going to go out and do the same thing to their partners. Because this Dumquisha character on Fatty said, blacks have the highest domestic violence rate. Well, how do you know that? And then she was saying, well, the black woman's been around for 200,000 years. How do you know that? Do you have documentation? You see, this is the problem with some of these individuals on YouTube. They get up here, they speak, and they have no evidence of what they're saying. They're just talking to be talking. And the problem with social media, particularly, and black men, you got a number of black men too. They come up here thinking that they have knowledge about something and they don't even read anything. All they're doing is blathering away. This is why I don't sit on panels. This is why I will continue to do pre-recorded videos. But that movie has probably got a lot of misandry in it. And this is what I'm seeing from mostly black women on YouTube, misandry. Hatred of the black man, saying that the black man hasn't built anything. The black man may have not built anything for you because you don't appreciate it. But what a number of sisters want is they want the black man to build on her terms. In other words, she wants to control what he builds. This is why, in her mind, she's not building. And a number of you sisters out there, I'm going to tell you this. You have a problem with men because you have to look at yourself. You are what you attract. You're attracting the wrong men, and you're portraying those men that you've been with by putting every other black man in the type of men that you dated. That's the problem. And a number of you are going to be single. And it's not just black women, it is a number of westernized women, particularly the Gen X women, the millennial women, and the Gen Z women. Yes, I understand you all are having less kids, but you also look at the black community too. Let's talk about something. I know we talk about the abortions. We talk about the Planned Parenthood that's in the black community. But what about black men killing each other? Black men not having any guidance, not having any structure. And these are black men who are living. You see, when we talk about the domestic violence rate in the black community, because this Dumquisha character said that the enemy to black women is the white man and black man. That's where she was incorrect. You know the enemy to black women? The biggest enemy to black women is other black women. It's not us. You may think it's us, but you all. You want to talk about domestic violence rate? the highest domestic violence percentage rate in the Black community is not hetero, it's Black woman on Black woman, lesbianism, because you have two individuals who want to control the relationship. Now, and I'll prove it to you. You look at some of the Black lesbian relationships right now, a number of your professional Black women, they're, they're not with other Black women. Wanda Sykes, you look at Robin Roberts, look at Lori Lightfoot. And there's a reporter, she used to work at Channel 2 in Baltimore. She's on ESPN. Her name is Lisa. If you know her last name, she works for ESPN, put it in my comment section. But all of these are with white women. Why? Because they don't want to be around a number of Keishas, because they bring a lot of chaos. And this movie, Is God Is. Why are they calling it Is God Is? There's nothing godly about having revenge on your father. Because if I were to put a movie out like that, it would be off the air. And you think about this. You had a Black man who killed his kids in Louisiana, 8 of them. You have a number of Black women who kill their kids. And I'm not talking about the abortion rate. You have a number of them who kill their kids as well. They get more of a slap on the wrist. But I wanted to bring this part of the video out there because some people are going to watch that movie. And to me, it's going to be another color purple. It's going to depict the Black man as bad. I have revenge on the Black man, just like the color purple. And the funny thing is, you got two deformed daughters. Their mom has read them a letter. Go after your father. But who wrote that movie? That's what you have to look at. Who wrote the movie? We don't know who wrote the movie. But again, we'll have a number of Black women in the movie theaters watching that movie. And when they look at TV, some of them try to live the lives of what they see on TV. The bottom line, it's going to cause more strife in the Black community. Plus, these are the ones who will always vote Democrat. And that moves me on to the next topic, the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is still going to try to cheat their way to win the midterms. They want to hang on to as little power as they have. Now, I'm going to tell you Republicans something. You're in power right now. You need to start doing something with the power. Because I'm going to tell you this, Republicans. If the Democrats were in power, they would be wielding their power, no matter what. They come fight, even if they don't have a fight, because they want the woke culture to continue. The woke culture is already spread into institutions. They have all of the institutions. And this is why I call them 5 power conferences of society. They have the institutions and the jobs, the government, your religion, your education, and your media. This is where all the propaganda is coming from. And they're going to use it. And they're going to use it just like the Senate race that's going on in Nebraska. The Democrats, I believe, are trying to confuse the voters. Well, we know Nebraska is a red state. And see, the Democrats, what they want is a dumb public, because a dumb public is always going to be on a plantation. And when you look at the schools, I mean, it used to be college meant something. Everybody couldn't get into college. You had a number of people who didn't even go to college, but they got trades. A number of individuals went into the military, but the culture has softened a lot of men up. But I want to tell you men something. You men need to wake up. And you women out there, particularly you black women, you need to stop being delusional because, when I saw these PPP loans, the amount of money that was embezzled, I mean, we're talking about $7.4 million, $2 million. Now, again, I'm not just looking at black people because white people have embezzled more. I mean, who came up with the Ponzi schemes? White people came up with the Ponzi schemes. Now, what is a Ponzi scheme? Well, what it is you try to sell somebody a good, it's almost like a pyramid scheme. That's what a Ponzi scheme is. Let's put it like that. But politically, with these maps, what Virginia wanted was basically no Republican representation. And if you look at the Northeast, see, the problem with the Democrats is they gerrymandered themselves out and they had to go into Virginia. Now, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Some of these Democrats are going to try to go on over to red states. Like, let's say the people from Washington State. Washington State is heavily liberal. Okay, they've already tapped themselves out. So they're going to go over to states like Idaho, Montana. Well, they're not going to get anything in Montana. There's too many mountains there. That's the frontier state. They're not going to get too much in Wyoming either. That's another one. Nebraska is, they think they can get Nebraska. The bottom line is this. For you liberals, I got to ask you this. Okay, you're in California, you're in Maryland, and all these other states. And my big question to you is, how come you're leaving your blue states for the red states, but you bring your behavior from the blue state to which you left to the red state? And you fuck that up. Well, if you left high taxes, why are you bringing that mindset to the red states? So you can turn that red state blue? Why don't you just stay in the state you reside in that has the high taxes? Why destroy other people's way of life? Because really, and this is what the Democrats are trying to do, they want to bring their way of thinking to everybody else. Not everybody believes in this LGBTQ. We have a number of individuals who believe in hetero families. We have a number of people who, in my humble opinion, when it comes to religion, traditional, not secular. But the left wants to call the other side fascist. Meanwhile, they're the ones who are being fascist. And what they do, they use media, social media, colleges, and now even religious institutions to put the word out. And they want to put the word out to people who have low information skills, who cannot communicate. This is why when I see signs like Tara Nelson, impeach Trump, I would like to, I definitely, me and somebody like Angry Snowman, we need to interview her, find out why is that sign saying impeach Trump on I-69 and 96th Street here in the Indianapolis area. So she's putting that up. She's running here in a red state. And I'm going to make sure she gets creamed. Any, and this is where, and I hate to say it, unless you have a woman who has sense. But the way I am now, I don't want any women winning anything here in this state. I want men to dominate everything. And this is what dumb Quisha, you need to understand. The ones who are going to be disloyal to you and a matriarchy are going to be other women, not the men. And when you talk about white men, you talk about black men being, and you all have to watch Fatty's videos. And I like Fatty. I just believe Fatty is entertaining, just like Chaotic Truth. But Fatty is just another version of Fight Club. He has Ali, they ask questions, but she had this other person, he had this other person on there named, I guess her name was Rose. And Huisha kept on saying, well, Rose is out of control every time she spoke. No, she wasn't out of control. She was holding black women accountable. And this is the problem with a number of women in this country. They get away because we don't hold them accountable for anything. We want to treat them with kid gloves. Meanwhile, they take advantage of it. But they won't treat you with kid gloves. See, guys, you need to be careful. And when it comes to red pill, let me tell you what red pill is. I've done so many videos on red pill. Red pill is not about hating women. No. Red pill is about having some control. Don't allow her to seduce you into her type of thinking. And don't be swayed by the propaganda. In other words, you need to navigate yourself with learning about the real world yourselves. I mean, we have people like Aaron Clary up here, CGA. Even have my boy, and shout out to him. Call him Gigi. He's out of Kansas. He's on giving you men's advice because a number of women, when you look at them, and this is not a hate woman channel, but I have to put this out as my social topics. A number of you women have been blindsided by feminism. And what you really don't want in society, you don't want masculinity. I don't care how many of you say you want a masculine man. You don't want a masculine man. You want a soft man to cater to you. And you want to be the dominant one. That's exactly what you want. Again, I'm going to put it out to you like this. Matriarchies don't work unless you have somebody to enforce it. To the dumb queishas of the world who believe in nuts and berries, divine, feminine, what country have you conquered? Okay, you say everybody comes from the black woman. Well, how do you know that? That's what you believe in because you believe you're a warrior. But what army are you commanding? Because if you're a general, that means you're at the top. But you don't want structure. Again, you're telling yourself you're a general and you were in your 50s, thinking that you can take on every man out here. That's the problem. A number of women think they can take every man. And after watching His God Is, it's going to be more of that, or it's going to be more dead women. I hope that doesn't happen, but don't let that movie turn you into that movie. Because, see, that's a movie. Real life, see, a number of you women, you really haven't had a guy fight back. That's your problem. You let him fight back, and you feel what it is to chin check you, maybe you'll think a little differently about disrespecting men. And I'm talking about men of all races because, Dumquisha just believes that the black man and the white man. Well, what about the Arab man? The Arab man treats his women better than black men and white men. Yeah, I know black men and white men, some of them treat their women horribly. But you go over to the Middle East, those women can't have anything. Back when the Taliban went back in power, they ruled with an iron fist. You look at some of the Asian men. Some of the Asian men ain't doing anything with their women. I mean, they had this 4B movement. So they're overseas. And some of you brothers going overseas, some of you think the grass is going to be greener on the other side. Well, the only way grass is going to be greener on the other side is you have to understand their culture, their customs, and then go to the country. Now, you can go over there and do what you want. But let me tell you something. You're not protected by the Constitution here. But going back over to the Democratic Party, this is why we are out of control right now because of the Democratic Party. What are they putting in the Democratic Party? Nothing but women. Women are the ones running for office. They're the ones who are destroying this country. And it all starts with the white women, the liberal white women, and they're using the black liberal women as foot soldiers. So it makes the liberal white woman look like she's not doing anything, but she is. She's really the one calling the shots. And this is why men, you're going to have to get out there and vote for more masculine men in office. More of us men have to run for office or be part of a grassroots movement. And I'm talking about in government, because all these institutions right now are being feminized. And women are running them. And it's going to come to a day where if you don't have the robots, but you have women running everything, they're going to hire nobody but women, and who's going to be left without a job? This is why a number of women or feminists want to turn STEM into STEAM. They want to add arts. Well, arts has nothing to do with science, technology, engineering, and math. Arts, for the most part, women go into that. Men don't go into arts. Most of them, they don't. But the bottom line is this. Comes to that Democratic Party. It all ties to the social issues. It all tied to Obama. It all ties to the maps. See, the black people are talking about the Voter Rights Act, which many of them don't even know about the Voter Rights Act. But they're talking about black representation. Well, the black people that you put in power have never represented you. They're just there in name only. They don't really have the power. So you have to understand Congress. How many black people in a Congressional Black Caucus are on committees? How many? They're just foot soldiers. They're just symbols. They're just symbols like affirmative action. You put a black in a certain position to say, okay, we have blacks here. Well, affirmative action is just DEI. That's all that is. It's just put a little bit of tokenism to make it look like, oh yeah, we're diverse, when you're not diverse. And see, I did it last week when I told you about the Voter Rights Act. You go look at my video last week. But we have too many people who are watching, see this background, for the most part, with the exception of Fox. Well, I'm going to say Fox News is part of that, but all of these institutions of media in the background that you see, and I'm sitting in front of, they are all mainstream media. And you have a number of individuals on mainstream media. And shout out to the FBAs, the Foundational Black Americans, standing strong against these tethers. Because see, these tethers, what they want is the benefit off the backs of the civil rights movement that these Africans, these Boule Africans, yeah, these Boule niggas out here, they're not going to do anything for regular black people. And the representation that you blacks got, people representing you, well, if you're doing such a good job, how come you got still a number of Planned Parenthoods in the hood? And how come you got hoods, period? How come those hoods aren't functioning correctly? You got your Boule pastors, you got your individuals in politics, but I don't see any change from the hood structure because you still have crime out there. You still have drugs. I'm talking about the black community now. You have no good schools out there. The churches have failed. The media has failed. There's no money. You have a number of individuals out there who don't understand how the world works. Healthcare sucks in the hood. But yet, you blacks, some of you boules, you want the illegals because you're on board with white liberals when it comes to illegals. And see, the biggest enemy when it comes to black people, it's not necessarily black people, it's other black people. That's the issue. If you don't have the left-wing thinking of a Roland Martin, who's a tether himself, of you got this broad on a view, Sonny Houston, who is Latino, which she claims she's black. But when I was watching Quisha, see, her argument is she had this one named Rose who was mixed, but then Kamala Harris said Kamala Harris has a black father. No, Kamala Harris, yeah, father might be black, mother is Indian. Is that not biracial? You see, when you let a number of these women talk, they put their own feet in their mouths and they don't even know it because they're talking so much, thinking that they have power from their own opinion when their opinion makes them look like a fool because they're not doing any research. They're just babbling to give themselves some power or power coming from their own head. But they've let communism, Marxism, and feminism indoctrinate them. I mean, if you look at television, they're doing nothing but promoting the alphabet. I'm watching cooking shows right now. Top Chef. They're promoting. Your pastors, some of them have come out and said they were sweet. It's all over the place. But we're supposed to accept it. And they're throwing it right down our throats like we have to accept it. And that's the Democratic Party. See, the Democratic Party knows that many of us don't even believe in that. So they're trying to use government to force us to believe in what they believe in. But it's not working. Now, I always say this. You need to understand what's going on out in the real world. Don't let TV, but this movie, we're going to have to get more, and somebody's going to watch Is God Is. Probably, I'm going to say BGS or Dr. Tiasan Johnson. But when I saw the trailer going after their father, revenge, Now, if a man took revenge on his woman, he'd be going to jail. And that's the problem. Here in America, we don't hold women accountable. They can do anything they want to do because we allow. And when it comes to a matriarchy, yes, you're going to have, if you really want a matriarchy, true matriarchy, put all the simps in the matriarchy because they're going to validate the queen. They're going to validate all these quiches, these hyenas out here. Now, again, I'm not talking about every Black woman because there's some good ones out there, particularly the ones from the country. It's mainly the urbanized ones who I'm talking about. That's right, the urbanized ones. Why? Because there's more materialism, there's more money in urbanized areas. So you become, because you're getting higher education, more money, you think you got more power, but you have a lot of debt as well. The bottom line is this. I want to say this. The Democratic Party has taken the Black vote for granted. But with these maps changing, both parties are going to have to earn the Black vote. Now, I know most Black people still, I'm going to tell you this, regardless of how the maps are drawn, unless Black people get off their rocker, many of them are going to vote Democrat. They believe in the Democratic Party. They believe in socialism, communism, Marxism. They don't believe in capitalism because they can't compete in capitalism. Capitalism is a system that economics doesn't trickle down too much. You know, we mentioned the word trickle down economics. Bottom line with capitalism, it's competition. And the more competition you have, it keeps prices down. Now you look at gas prices, they're actually coming down right now. They're now here in some places in Indiana below $4 now. I knew they would come down. Now, I'm just going to say this. When we're going to vote, what's going to help the Republicans out is you got to get the economy working correctly. In other words, get the prices of goods down. Also, you have to look at the war. And then we got too many Zionists out here who believe in Israel. I don't believe everything about Israel. Okay. Bottom line is, we need to really believe in America. This is what real MAGA means. It doesn't mean the slogan. When I say make America great again, I'm talking about making it prosperous for most of us. I didn't say all of us because whether you have a communist society, whether you have a capitalist society, everybody's not going to make it to the top. Now, number one, it's the structure of the government, who creates the environment, and then it's decision making out here. If you are an individual out here and you're making a bunch of babies, you might as well just put a noose around your neck because you're always going to be poor and you're just creating more poor people like you. That's the issue. I don't care how much religion you have. That religion is just a way to control people anyway. I mean, these pastors, they're not helping you all. They're hindering you all. But you got so many people who go to church, so many people who watch these movies. And when you, again, looking at the Democratic Party wants everybody to suffer. If you look at what they're saying on TV, it's doom and gloom. You know, and it's funny how they talk about the prices. But I went out this past weekend. It's funny to tell you, even with the price of gas, How many people were out this weekend? So is the economy really that bad? Because if it was that bad, we have a number of people doing YouTube. They'd be in the house. It'd be another COVID. Well, we have individuals, the weather's gotten nice. These individuals are still driving. I mean, I see many plates. California here, from Florida here. So people are still traveling. And you have a number of people when it comes to sporting events. The biggest event here is the Indianapolis 500. So is the economy really that bad? Because if it were, individuals wouldn't be spending money. I mean, I go by every grocery store, whether it's Kroger, Fresh Time, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. Parking lot is packed. The restaurants are packed. So what does that say about the economy? Or is it the state you live in? Because the economy here in Indiana is not the same as the economy in California because of the environment. We're under more of a Republican type of institution here. So we're a red state, where California is a blue state. So we don't have the high taxes. Now we have taxes, but they're not like California and they're not like Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a common, they're not like Virginia. So you have to look at your economy, look at where you live. I mean, you can still get apartments here, some decent ones, for about $1,000 to $1,200 a month. 2 bedrooms, too. Of course, many of them are going to be in between $1,400 and $1,600. But you can still get some decent ones out here. The bottom line is you have to know where to go. And you can't listen to a lot of individuals. This is why the television is the worst nightmare of most people. Because when you let the television do the thinking for you, you really throw your freedom out the window. Because the television is there to confuse you. They're there to keep you out of the voting booth. Even though the maps are being redrawn, do you believe that the Democrats are going to quit? No, they're not going to quit. They're going to keep on trying to hold what power they got. And if the Republicans win the midterms, you don't believe the Democrats aren't going to have protests? Or they're going to have protests. Some of them are going to get violent because the Democrats are very violent people. See, they can't take a loss. That's their problem. I mean, Kamala Harris shouldn't have even been in that race. However, if you think about it, the Democrats cut their own throat with putting Kamala Harris in the presidential election. Instead of having another primary to see who could replace Joe Biden, they decided to run Kamala Harris. Now, I already know why they did it, because the money was for Biden Harris. So they didn't want that money to change hands. Now, do you believe that Kamala Harris is going to run again in 2028? I don't know. I mean, she had a lot of word salad. She didn't know what was going on. And as a black man, all of the black men she put in jail in California, you see, there's a thing about remembering what happens. So things like child support. Thank goodness I don't have to pay that anymore. They have built a lot of these institutions. But the Democrats at one time had sense about borders. Now they don't. Why? Because the illegals are replacing the blacks as the new voting bloc. That's why they want the illegals in-house. This is why they don't want ICE. They want to defund ICE. They want to defund the police. They don't really want any law enforcement. They want anarchy. They want really, they just want to let an individual, once they arrest them, put them back out on the street. They want mail-in ballots. I think mail-in ballots were the worst. And it's funny, even with all of the mail-in ballots in Virginia, and the folks in Virginia were confused of that referendum about the maps, and the Democrats only won by 2.9%, even with the cheating. So that showed me the Republicans got out there to vote. And if it happens nationwide, the Democrats aren't going to win. And fortunately, if you have enough people watching what's going on, and we can tell individuals how government works, people who don't know how government works, but you have an education system, you have religious institutions, you have your media, you even have your jobs and your government. It's all infected with these leftists. And it's funny when we talk about Robert KKK Byrd. And I'm going to tell you something. You know who said Robert KKK Byrd was a good man? Barack Obama. Yeah. Joe Biden said Robert KKK Byrd was his friend. So Obama, being biracial, looking black, admired Robert Byrd. If you don't know who Robert Byrd is, he was the Grand Wizard of the KKK, the late senator from West Virginia. Robert Byrd was back there in the 60s. He didn't want the Civil Rights Act. You know, and neither did Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson was a congressperson back in 57. This is when Dwight D. Eisenhower was president. They were going to pass it then. He didn't want it. And if we think about it, all of these individuals, Lyndon B. Johnson was from Texas. They were all from the South. The Dixiecrats, your Klan. Although some say the Klan actually started here in Indiana, in Martinsville, Indiana. Now, they did have a lot of Klan here. She had Klan in the South. But when we talk about the hypocrisy here, no, the Democrats don't talk about Robert Byrd. They talk about the other guy, not George Wallace. He was another one. Wallace. He was a governor of Alabama or Mississippi, and he got paralyzed. David Duke. That's who they're talking about. That guy. Oh yeah, the Klan's bad. They're talking about David Duke. They're not talking about Robert Byrd. You got to put your ears and pin your ears back and listen. The bottom line is this: the Democrats want to confuse you, and they're going to try to get in through local governments. You know why they're going to try to get in through local governments, I believe? Because many of us don't vote or pay attention to local governments. But we need to start taking our time to look at everything. You got a lot of lawless judges out here who are legislating from the bench. You got the Supreme Court. Okay, if you think about it, the Democrats are PO'd at the Supreme Court for turning down that map, and for their sake, Louisiana, I know Alabama's going to fix their maps, but the Supreme Court showed you wasn't biased. Trump's 10% tariffs. The Supreme Court shut that down. Said it was illegal. The Supreme Court's job is the judicial branch to litigate. That way, all three branches are co-equal branches of government. Cannot have too much power. Now, of course, the president does have veto power, but you have the Democrats, when something doesn't go their way, they always want to impeach somebody. Oh, well, we need to impeach this person. But yet, they have a lot of these quiches. They've been put in power. They're running cities and they're running them into the ground. So overall, I'm just going to say this. Keep this video under an hour. As I sum it up, look out for that movie, Is God Is. I believe it's Another Color Purple. I believe there's misandry in that movie. And here on YouTube, got too many women who are very delusional. And I don't even like to use that word delusional because delusional doesn't move these women. They still think they're the prize. But many of them have been brainwashed by misandry. Misandry is the hatred of men. But you hear a lot of individuals talking more about misogyny. See, when we put information out, now it's misogyny. It's not misogyny. We're just calling you out. And that's, again, particularly what a number of these black women don't want because they believe that they ruled the roost by having all the say in the 90s and the 2000s with all these talk shows. But when they didn't get what they wanted, they silenced a lot of people. And that's what the Democrats do. They like to silence you because they can't win an argument. They like to throw pejoratives at you that are very personal. That's what this dumb Quisha individual was throwing at this Rose character. Throwing a lot of personal attacks. When you personal attack me, that means you're losing the argument or you already lost. And when you're telling me I'm out of control, when it's you who's out of control, you really have lost the argument. When you're telling me, okay, I am a general, and I ask you, well, who are you commanding? What have you conquered? You don't have enough strength to take power. In an all-female army, I guarantee you, you're not even going to have a large female army because some of these females, talk about, again, enemies, they're your biggest enemies because they don't want to be on a losing side. That's the thing. So they're going to be disloyal to you. And with this domestic violence, well, the reason why it might seem high, because you look at who's causing most of it, the individuals in the hood. And then a lesbian, woman on woman domestic violence. That's where your high domestic violence rates are. Now, I'm not saying there's nothing going on, suburban area, country, but you have to look at where individuals are. They're in the urban areas, though. And then when you are saying that black men and white men are the enemy, black woman is God, and she didn't come from a rib. Well, where did you get what you're saying from? Those are the questions to ask. You made it up. Because in essence, you don't believe in men. You don't believe in the order, God, man, women, and child. You don't believe in the Old Testament of the Bible. You just believe men wrote it. That's what you believe. Now, I know Christianity's fucked up. But the bottom line is the Torah. You're going to say that Allah, the Islamic religion, is messed up? Please. When you go out and watch these movies, or when you're telling women, you're a woman, giving them bad advice about dating, that's you not being accountable. Because basically what you're doing, you're putting your experiences in the other women's head instead of letting them think for themselves. Then you talk about the manosphere. No, all the manosphere was calling out a number of women, and they had every right to do it. I I was never in the manosphere, but I called a number of them out, and I'm still going to do it. Bottom line, I'm just going to say this: you all keep voting Democrat, you won't get a damn thing. But now with all these maps being realigned, you got to earn the black vote now. So that means both parties have to earn it. So Democrats can't take it for granted. And taking it for granted, they can't shit on black people. So in the end, got to be careful what you're watching on television. Movies like Is God Is. You also have to learn more about the Democratic Party. The party that you believe that's good to you, that you've been voting for the last 60, 70 years, has never been good to you. All it has is indoctrinated you with hope, and that hope has done nothing. Because the only thing that a number of you blacks have is race. And when that's gone, what else do you have? You have nothing. Then you have the tethers who want to come over and get resources for a fight that they were never involved in. That's the problem. You got people like Kamala Harris, who went to a black school, claimed she was down with blacks, but when she got out there on that campaign trail, wasn't. It's a lot of hypocrisy. And in the end, you really have to look at it this way. Knowledge is power. I just believe that many individuals in this country don't have a lot of knowledge. They've never participated in anything. They don't want to compete. Now, granted, I will say past generations have made everything difficult for today's generations. I mean, wages are stagnated, and it's all started from the early baby boomers. They ate all of the pensions up. They're comfortable. Now, the rest of us aren't as comfortable. The rest of us have to figure it out. But there's nothing wrong with figuring it out. But the bottom line is, you have to look at everything. The media is not going to help you, first of all. The media is just doing nothing but putting out propaganda. And when you fall for the lies, then you are the liar. Why are you the liar? Because you believe that lie that you're constantly told is going to be the truth when it's a lie. And that lie is to make you really feel good about yourself. But in essence, in the end, you're going to be disappointed. That's part of the lead formula that I came up with. Your lies, emotion, assumption, and delusion. And when it comes to America, I love this country. But for the most part, it's not America. People running America. You talk about, again, here Democrats talking about billionaires. What about George Soros? See, they're not talking about the billionaires on their side, like the Jay-Z's, the George Soroses, the Disneys. These are billionaires. How many billionaires on the Republican side except for Trump? And Trump, in my humble opinion, is really, he just took Democratic talking points because he was a Democrat at one time. Trump contributed to the campaign of Jesse Jackson. Trump helped out Jennifer Hudson when a couple of her family members got deleted. Nobody wants to talk about that because they want to make him out to be, well, he's a racist. Prove that he's a racist. And for individuals who are using terms like, do you even know what a racist is? Do you even know what narcissism is? Many people take words that they hear and they repeat them and they have no idea what they mean. They believe that they're educating somebody, or it makes them have this belief that they're educated because they can pronounce a big word. In the end, you need to know what words mean before you use them. And many of you here on YouTube, you don't know what words mean. And on TikTok, which I'm glad I don't have TikTok. This is why I don't put clips on my channel as well, because you need to watch the whole video to understand what's going on. See, what happens in news, so you'll know, they'll run a 30-second clip, and sometimes they can edit that clip to their advantage. And if you don't believe me, look what happened in 60 Minutes with that Kamala Harris clip. That clip was edited. She was asked about Iran. What if she were in power? They talk about Trump, she wouldn't know what to do. Many of these politicians have been bought. Many of these politicians don't even know anything about the economy. They're just going on media, talk about, particularly people like Hakeem Jeffries. Now, it's funny now how you don't hear anything at all about the Epstein files. You don't hear too much about the tariffs. You don't hear too much about eggs. I'm just going to tell you this, and I'm just going to be upfront with it. All these other issues Americans don't even give a shit about. Americans are too stupid. Most of them are too stupid. I don't want to say most of them. I'm going to say a number of them are too stupid to give a shit about anything. Many of them don't want to work. They want a freeload. It takes time to build up credit. They don't want to be under this system. System is already corrupted. Been corrupted. Government has been corrupted, even before Trump got into government. I mean, we're going all the way back to the Warren Harding days of prohibition, 20s. The bottom line is this. There's history behind everything. But when it comes to who was here first, we don't know if the blacks were here first. Could it have been melanated people? Was it Africa? We don't know. The only way we'll find out is some remains, and that takes an archaeologist. Now, we can go find hieroglyphics when it comes to language. Yes, some architecture, was it actually stolen by Greeks, by Romans, from Egyptians? Yes, it was. For 200,000 years, black woman is God? No, I will never believe that. The Bible is, now, the Bible itself is a history book, but it is structured. But see, the reason why a number of individuals don't take the Bible seriously is because pastors, they're not serious. They take certain passages and interpret them their way so they can appease their crowd. Again, they're boulets as well. All the boulets want, particularly the black boulets, starting from your pastors, to your athletes, to your entertainers, just want blacks to be on a plantation. Your Roland Martins. These are the individuals that have made it, according to them. They want you to be in poverty. Why? Because they want to control you. They want to control you with their propaganda. They want to control you with their religion. They want to control you with the education system. They want to control you on your job. They want to control you with the government. And in the end, many of them are full of lead, lies, emotion, assumption, and delusion. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Like what I just presented, just comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some STEM content, check out my STEM channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me. One Talk Zone radio show, you can find me right here on YouTube, X formerly Twitter. You can find me on Rumble, and of course, find me on True Social and for the QCIS channel. So find me here on YouTube, X formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn. And before I go, I want to tell you all this. Don't be offended by what's said. But if you are, you have to change yourselves. Because I'm not here to offend, I'm here to tell you the truth, and I'm here to give you reality, not something that you believe in your own mind that's true, but the actual truth. And I always say this: action speaks louder than words. So in that case, be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Here's what I'm going to also tell you. It's not about you. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, you wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.